Hi everybody, and welcome to another live video we're doing on the Northern Affinity social media platforms. Delighted to say I'm here today with Anna Short. I'll get Anna to introduce herself in a minute. But today we're going to talk all about marketing and specifically marketing strategy, actually, and that is obviously Anna's area of expertise. What I'd say is anyone watching this, if you're on the live, feel free to ask any questions as we go along. We're more than happy to try and field those. If you are watching it on playback, and I remember people do, whether on the social media platforms or on YouTube or wherever it may be, ask the questions afterwards, and I'll put them Anna's way as well. I'm sure she'll be able to answer them offline. So yeah, I won't steal your thunder and describe you in any way, Anna, so I'll let you do that. So do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, Anna, and then we'll go into some questions.
Okay, so I'm Anna Short from Boom Marketing. All I've ever done is marketing, basically, and I've done that for 25 years, and I really enjoy focusing on the strategic and planning side of marketing, but making that simple and doable for business owners, because there's nothing worse than nice looking 20-page marketing plan sat on the shelf looking fabulous and not actually doing anything. So I'm all about action, making it simple and doable and getting that action.
Brilliant, Anna, thank you. Sounds good to me. That sounds like something that works for me, simple and doable. That's great. So this is probably a really obvious question to start with, but what is a marketing strategy? What is the purpose of it?
It's generally it's about looking at your business goals, because if your marketing strategy aligns with your business goals, it's going to move you in the right direction and help support meeting your business goals. Basically, if you've not got a marketing strategy and that's not aligned to your business goals, it's just pretty much a waste of time. It's going to be very random, put it that way.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like everything that you do in your business, they all need to kind of come together, don't they, and work as one.
Yeah, it's about getting it to cascade down in the right ways. So if you know what your business goal is, say, for the next 12 months, make your marketing work towards that business goal. And that's common sense, but it's not easy to do, and lots of people don't do it, surprisingly.
No, I think my issue with anything that it's kind of strategy based is, for a lot of people, it's where to start. That is always the hardest thing. I think once you get into it, it becomes a little bit easier. So, if someone was sat down and they were starting a business or they were realigning what they were doing today, where would you kind of advise that they would start?
I start looking at the individual business owner and getting some background on them and understanding their personal journey that's got them to that moment in time, really. A lot about a business stems from the owner. So looking at their past and why they're where they are at this moment in time really plays into that in a big way. And that's not just on the business side, but that's also in what probably makes your business unique as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So what kind of things make up a marketing strategy for a business then? I know obviously it'll be different for different businesses, but kind of just generically speaking.
Yeah, so it's looking at that background of the business owner and the business, getting some of that history and story behind it, looking at your mission, your vision, your values, your purpose, why you do what you do. I also look at key messages that link up with your audience, your target audience, and what their challenges are, because it's all about them. Whilst it's all about you and your business, it's all about those target audiences and the people that you want to work with and the people you want to help and what their challenges are and the solutions that you can provide them with. So looking at those audiences and how you're going to talk to them and what you're going to say to them, and then looking at what marketing activities you're already undertaking, what's worked, what hasn't. And then once you've got those foundations in place, it's about looking at what are the right marketing activities for you and your business. Which ones are you likely to do? There is no point telling somebody to go down a route of doing activities that just make them cringe or feel uncomfortable. So it's making sure you getting the right activities down that are then doable, basically. Because telling somebody to do something because the competitor's doing it, or because somebody said you need to do SEO, it's just not going to work. It's about taking that big picture approach, that 360-degree view around marketing, to get the right mixture of activities that you will do as a business owner, or if you don't want to do them yourself, that you can hand over to somebody else and you feel confident in what activities they're doing on your behalf then.
No, that makes sense. And I mean, just to kind of cover it, marketing is such a big area, isn't it? As you know, it covers so many different areas, from visual side of things, written content, social media, obviously. It's not, and it's impossible, especially for small businesses, to do everything. You can't. It's kind of picking your battles. Would you say that's fair?
It is. And if you have an approach that makes it simple for you, you'll do it then. So we've generally got things that we've created, assets that we've created from the past that we can always pull on. So once we're clear about how we want to talk to people and how we can tell them the ways in which we can solve their problems or help them, we can then home in on our little kit bag of these are the assets that we've got. That may be, for example, a white paper. It might be an infographic. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it, that asset. And you may have, I like working in threes. So you may have three really good, strong assets. A white paper, a blog, and an infographic, for example. You can build in your key messages into those three key assets, and then you can chop those up into lots of different ways. A blog, you can chop that up into a number of social media posts. So it's stuff you already know, it's stuff you've already got. And if you haven't got anything, again, keep it simple so that you can create that piece that is going to stand the test of time and give you lots of mileage in getting focused and being consistent with your marketing activity. If you've got three things that you can talk about or give us a freebie, anything like that, you've got 3 months worth of marketing activity that you can probably get out of those things in lots of different ways by chopping them up and creating blogs, doing PR, putting items on your website and creating visuals. There's so many different things that you can work with.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, working in marketing day to day, I'm sure you see all sorts of different mistakes within marketing and what businesses do. What are the common themes that you often see?
It's when they're detached from their audience more than anything. Either the main ones for me are when they're clearly not in touch with their target audience and they're talking internal language, not external language. And the work that I've done within the technology industry, that's a great example, because the tech businesses are very good at looking at themselves and what they do internally and talking their language, but that isn't the language that everyday people in their target audiences use. So breaking that down and putting it into plain English and turning it into good, strong key messages that have got meaning to the people that you're looking to help and serve makes a massive difference. So there's that, not talking your target audience's language, and there's the just going in with the sales approach. There is nothing worse, and I think it's become more and more obvious, especially over the last few months, when somebody is going straight in with that sales approach, doesn't sit right with people anymore, and we don't find it acceptable so much anymore, and we want more substance. We want the people side of things. We want to know why we should listen to one another and start to develop a relationship before we, the sell is the last thing. That's at the end of the line. Never start with a sell.
No, that's really interesting, and I know you've commented a few times on LinkedIn about this issue of people jumping straight in, shall we say, two-footed before doing any of the nurturing element of it, shall we say?
Yeah, and it's when people have not even taken the time to get to know your business, and they're straight in there. So you're not going to build relationships in that way. And this is what it's all about, that bigger picture, long-term relationships, and building those relationships in the right way. And that is in getting to know one another and how you can help one another. And then when there is a need and the time is right, you are front of mind.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really interesting about the various misconceptions about marketing as well, because I think everyone, because kind of covering what I was saying earlier about it encompasses so many different things. People maybe kind of think it's different things to what it is, and my opinion of marketing, it kind of is what it is, what it means to be for you. It can mean many different things, and that's fine. So, what kind of other misconceptions have you seen in the marketing, or have heard from people?
Well, people, and I've said this before, you could ask 10 people what they think marketing is, and you will get 10 very different answers. Lots of people do think that it's sales. And whilst marketing very much supports the sales and business development of a business, it isn't directly that. It's about instigating that exchange of products and services in a way that is of value. So people need products and services, and I'm losing my thread, Mike.
No, it's about the misconceptions.
There's got to be something of value there, and it's that exchange of products and services in creating that value, that what sets you apart side of things, and promoting a business and its products and its services, and what makes them different, and why you should think about looking at them or considering them for your purchase or of that product or service. So it's about encouraging that and driving demand towards the business, not the direct sell as such.
No, and I was just thinking then about something you mentioned right at the start about that, the importance of everything kind of focusing towards the main business goals and strategy. Now I have lots of conversations with lots of people about various things, but you hear quite often business owners talk about the things they think they should be doing. Now, you used SEO as an example earlier. Now, if your business strategy is that you're a high ticket type service and you only need 4 or 5 customers a year or something like that, SEO is not the thing for you. SEO is probably a bit more of a quantity driven approach. And now I'm not saying it doesn't have a place, but it's about where you prioritize your business as well. I think is really important, and I think that's something that I noticed quite a lot in issues. The people I talk to, they don't quite know the various elements of marketing and how that sits with what they are trying to achieve.
Yeah, and there are so many marketing activities to go at. that in itself gets overwhelming. And then you've got the pressures of what competitors are doing and the opinions of others in telling you what they think you should be doing. And it's, you've got to find your own way in building that marketing machine for your business. And that takes time and it's an ongoing effort. So it's, I explain the mixture of marketing activities like a sweet shop. And it is about picking the ones that are really right for you, picking your favourites that you know are going to sit right with your business and doing them on a regular basis. And once you've worked with that for a while and those activities are working for you, it's like, right, what else can I have a bit of? And this worked really well for me. So how can I build on that more? Is it worth me putting some money into? Shall I start setting a budget aside now that the organic and resourceful marketing activities have started to work for me? You know, and then you can start looking at putting money into SEO and paid for activity if it's justified. It's all about knowing if it's going to work for your business or not, and not just doing it for the sake of it. Lots of people get involved in activities because somebody's pushed that activity to them and all of the benefits of it, but they've put themselves and their business first before their clients because they're just bothered about, I'm selling them this service and I'm and that's it. They're into short-term relationships. So quite often you'll come across people that sell short-term SEO packages on a 3-month basis. They're in it for the quick fixes, the quick wins. You know, it's got to be about a long-term effort. And again, there's lots of people out there selling LinkedIn packages, monthly LinkedIn packages, £500 a pop. Sound great what they do, and that side of things, but £500 a month, month on month on month, and if you're not getting anything back from that, it's got to prove itself. So don't start spending money until you feel confident and that it's got a good chance of proving itself, and then looking at those figures every month to see what is working, what's not working, what can be better.
That's really interesting, actually brings me really nicely to my next point, was about measuring success in marketing. So I'm sure there's also different ways. So how do you think that people should measure success?
If you can't measure it, don't do it. Is pretty much what I say to people. There are some activities that you know are beneficial in getting you out there and your brand and your business name out there, and you just accept that. And that's something that every business needs to be doing. And it's very difficult to attach a value to that. But if it's not costing you anything, it's not it's no big deal. Where you're putting regular effort or budget, you need to be measuring it. And quite often in the online, anything online is measurable. So you've no excuse for not measuring on there. Within social media, we get so much by way of analytics in there, on Google Analytics for websites and other measurement platforms for websites. You get analytics through there. So there's information there all the time that's telling you what people like, what's working, what's not working, where people are coming from, and that side of things. So getting a regular monthly understanding around that helps channel where your efforts are best placed and where you should be spending money, really.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. I mean, you mentioned about the things like the analytics side of things there. Do you think one of the issues that people have is that there's so much out there, it's hard to kind of pull it all together and understand it for the should we say, for the layperson?
It is hard because you need to understand what you're looking for. Once you've got the basics around what measurements are meaningful, and you've got those down, it's easy to keep that up to date each month then, and see what, you know, what's improving, what's not, and asking the questions around why, looking at emails, what are the click rates, what are the open rates, are people taking action, and that side of things. So it's knowing what figures to look out for, and you learn that over time if you do it on your own. If you work with somebody that knows which figures mean something, you know, that can cut out quite a bit of time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had a question from Phil on LinkedIn, actually, so thanks for that, Phil. And I don't know how easy this is to answer, Anna, but how would you measure brand building exercise for an SME?
Really difficult. Great question. It is about trying to put a measure on that at this moment in time. So what's the current measure? How well established is the business? What percentage, and a lot of this will be guesswork initially, what percentage of your local area know about you and your business? If it's based on a local area, what percent of the UK know about you and your business? How do you compare to competitors? And even if you just said, right, well, they're number one, where am I in the pecking order after that number one? And then it's just going from that point and reviewing. It's not something you would measure too regularly, brand, at all, because it's got to build over time. So perhaps once or twice a year, I would say, get your starting point, look who you're measuring your brand against, and do that a couple of times a year and see it to make sure it's moving in the right direction.
Do you think with brand as well, because it's like I said, it's not the easiest thing in the world to measure, but you've got to kind of think why you want to build your brand? And I know it sounds like a kind of an obvious question, but or how do you see an achievement of building? What is your building of your brand? What does that mean to you? Because again, it might be something different, and then you can that might be in terms of how many people recognize you on, or go to your website, or whatever it might be, and you can maybe get some metrics in another way.
Yeah, and I think especially with small businesses, a lot of small businesses are known by the name of the business owner. So, and that business owner is not going to be there forever. If they're building a business that they want to scale, it's got to be about the name of the business. So it's how you progressively move towards that. And so, for example, with me, lots of people recognize my name, but they also recognize Boom Marketing now, and that's taken time over the last 3 years. So increasingly, it will become more and more about Boom Marketing rather than Anna Short. And that's when I will start to achieve that scalability, and I can look at how I might be able to grow my business then, based off the back of Boom Marketing, not me as a person.
No, absolutely. Now we've had another question. It's kind of a long question, so it's taken us out of the screen a little bit. But from Martin on LinkedIn, he's mentioned about, again, he prefers building relationships, like you mentioned, and he finds it a bit of a challenge in the current climate. Obviously, that's the non-face-to-face side of things. He'd like to raise brand profile without the selling approach. You got any recommendations for raising a profile to create more conversions?
Depending on the type of business and the target areas that you're going out to, if it's something that's local, it's quite nice to look at some of those more traditional marketing activities, such as picking up a telephone, popping a note through somebody's door. You know, these activities do work, and we don't appreciate how well they can work for us. So even if you bought, if you've got some data or you purchased some very targeted data and just started phoning around or popping a little postcard through to them to let them know about you and your business, to get you past that first point of having a conversation with them. It just gets you out there more then. So don't always, I always encourage, whilst online is mega, mega important more than ever at the moment, it's also, don't forget about those offline activities that you can be doing. And especially if you work a local area as such, and that's where your business is.
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting, Anna, because this kind of partly leads into my next question, actually, from what Martin's mentioned there, is, as you know, I talk a lot about collaborations, and that is maybe something that Martin could think about, is rather than trying to have conversations essentially with his end customer, think about who we could potentially work with. And whilst it might not be the easiest at the moment to have that relationship with your customer, building relationships with people to work alongside with is, I'm not saying easier right now, but at least as easy, because of Zoom and various other things. You can meet a lot of people quite quickly, so there's the chance there.
Definitely. As you know, I'm a massive fan of collaborating, Mike, and I collaborate with other marketers, not just people that work in sort of sales, for example. So I look at who I've got a good fit with that works within the same area as me, but also works in those other complementary areas that may be sales and business development related, or coaching, that side of things. So it's looking at people who would be good to collaborate with. I've found this through Northern Affinity, and it's worked really well for me. I had a gap in my business on an area of work that I wanted to be doing more on, but I didn't want to be doing that work, and it's not my strength. But it was something that my clients kept asking for. So I've now started working with one of the other partners in Northern Affinity to fill that gap, and automatically you both open yourselves up to what you can do to help each other and help one another's clients as well, because you quite often find that you've got different strengths in different areas and complementary skills. Whilst other marketers do marketing, they will do it in a different way to me, and they will have different strengths to me. So it's about homing in on how you fit those pieces of the jigsaw together. I love a good jigsaw.
No, that's great. I'll say I was going to ask you about collaboration, but you kind of answered that there, wouldn't you? Now, we've had another question on LinkedIn from Paul about LinkedIn, actually. So he's grown his LinkedIn page up over the last few months, regular posts and offers and case studies, which is great. Is it still better to put web page links onto LinkedIn to get some click-through traffic, or things like slides or information on LinkedIn itself?
Yeah, it's great that you've managed to build up your business page on LinkedIn. The fact of the matter is, LinkedIn is a person-to-person platform. It is not it is not a business entity to business entity platform. So it's good to have a strong business page on there, but it's all about the people. It really is. So they will look at your business page, but they will be looking at the people that work within that business even more so. So it's about, there is a featured section within your personal profile area. You can showcase examples of work. You can put case studies. You can put all kinds within that featured section that support your business page and what you do and what you're about, but show a bit more about you as a person and the work that you've been directly involved with.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. As you know, I know I use LinkedIn a lot. I'm a big fan of it. the LinkedIn business pages, whilst while the Northern Affinity, we've got a big following on LinkedIn. The amount of people that see your posts and things like that is minuscule compared to what your individual pages are. So whilst it's absolutely valid to have it, and like I said, I use it a lot, and it's good, and it's going back to brand, it's a good brand building thing. But the actual, my personal opinion is the using your personal element of it to engage in those conversations with the people you need to be engaging with is the way forward, and the business page can kind of lead into that rather than the other way around. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's a supporter. The business page is supportive of the people within the business, definitely. And within there, it creates that platform for you to talk about what you do, what your values are, and how you do things. So, like Mark said, it's good on the brand building side of things and getting that key information across. But there's so much more to be had on a personal level within LinkedIn, definitely.
Yeah, I'm no expert on, we mentioned SEO earlier, but I do know that LinkedIn is quite a strong SEO thing. So if you do have a strong company page, that probably helps your web page as well. So there's definitely some benefits to it. It might be the different benefits to your personal LinkedIn, but there's definitely benefits.
Yeah, because the search engines will be tuning into those keywords that are within your business page, definitely. If you tap in information on Google, certain LinkedIn business pages will come up.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Anna. Thank you for answering those questions. Now, so if anyone wants to find out a bit more about you and contact you, where's the best places to find you?
LinkedIn. So I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook, and I'm in the Northern Affinity partners area. So yeah, those are the best places.
Yeah, and if anybody, for whatever reason you can't, I'm sure you'll be able to find out. If you can't, just contact me or Northern Affinity, and we'll put you in charge. So yeah, thank you everyone for your questions, and thank you so much for your time, Anna. It's been great. And if anyone does have any further questions, if they're watching this, please do feel free to put it in the comments, and I'm sure I'll pass them on to Anna to and grill her with those questions.
Yeah, no, it was nice to be in the hot seat. Gosh, I wasn't quite ready for that. So I hope I've managed to answer people's questions well enough. But yeah, like Mike says, if there is any further questions, throw them at me. I'm always up for a challenge, and I will always try my best.
Well, I can vouch for that as well, Anna. So yeah, thank you very much for your time, Anna, and thank you everyone for watching.
Yeah, thank you.